my, look how I work it. Oh my, look how I'm ballin'. No play when I
Trade up and save up to $300 at Samsung.com.
In Athens, and what a scene it is. Kirby Smart has his Dogs back on the field for the first time since the national championship game last year, and nearly 80,000 on hand to watch their SEC champions and watch the #1 overall recruit in all of college football, Justin Fields, really begin his quarterback battle with Jake Fromm, who of course was the freshman of the year, 12-2 as a starter for Kirby Smart, who deservingly so is the SEC Coach of the Year last year. And it is time for football here at Sanford Stadium. Bob Wischusen here with Todd Blackledge. Maria Taylor will join us in just a moment. You know, the azaleas bloom, the leaves are back on the trees, the sun is shining. Patrick Reed, he puts the green jacket on. Georgia takes 1 week break for the Masters from football. Golf's out the window, now it's back to football. And just coming from the Alabama spring game, that has to be the gold standard for competition and culture in this sport. It seems like this program, Kirby Smart, of course, coming from Tuscaloosa, not far behind.
Well, he knows that blueprint works, and there's a couple pillars of that blueprint that he's copying here. Number one, you recruit relentlessly. He is patterning himself after Nick Saban in that regard. And then you combat complacency, and the way you do that is with competition, and it's every position, every single day. And you don't have to look any further than what's going on with the quarterbacks. Jake Fromm, as a freshman last year, led this team to the SEC championship and a couple plays shy of a national championship, and he finds himself in a daily battle with the #1 prospect, Justin Fields, who is a very special talent. Iron sharpens iron. They're both making themselves better.
Well, there's certainly one man that is very interested in how this battle will play out today, and that is the head coach. He's with Maria.
All right, Coach, you said that your seniors set a standard a season ago. How does your team come out on the field and carry over that standard starting the 2018 season?
Well, compete and play with a lot of toughness and get after it just like those seniors did.
One of the big competitions everyone will be watching is the quarterback position. What do you want to learn about them here today?
I want to see how they react to this atmosphere. I mean, we got a full packed house. Dog Nation stepped up again. We get to watch two good quarterbacks go play. I'm excited to see what they do.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Go Dogs.
All right, Maria, thanks very much. And it is going to be basically the ones against the ones or the twos against the twos today. It will be good on good for Georgia when they've got their starting offense out on the field for 15-minute quarters where the clock will run except when there are scoring plays, penalties, the possession changes, or clock situations at the end of each half. Traditional scoring at 12-minute halftime. And other than that, Todd, if you see a player out there wearing a white jersey, that's a player, certainly the quarterbacks wear, touch them and they're down. It's live football if you're wearing a red or black jersey. And Nicole Hardman watches it sail through the back of the end zone. So we'll wait to see Justin Fields, and he is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Boy, his high school tape shows you why he was the #1 overall player in our ESPN 300.
Yeah, he's very talented as a dual threat guy. He's big, too. He's 230 pounds. Now, we won't see the full measure of what he can do because there's no live tackling on the quarterbacks today, but we will get to see that arm. But right now, we're going to see Jake Fromm, who was last year's starter.
And he'll start off with a perfect strike over the middle as he finds Isaac Nauta. 12-2 as a starter, and he and Fields are the only two scholarship quarterbacks on the roster for Kirby Smart. So needless to say, if you're wearing a red or black jersey, don't touch the quarterbacks today.
There's a lot to like about Jake Fromm as we watch him complete his first two passes. He throws the ball very well, but the thing that stands out to me is he is a quick processor. He is able to take what he learns in the meeting rooms and in the film room and carry it directly to the field. The more he played last year, the better he got. In the last 3 ball games, he was not just managing the game, he was helping Georgia be in a position to win.
First carry for Elijah Holyfield, and he'll grind out about 5 yards. What he lost, of course, is going to play a huge part in the numbers having to take the next step this year without the Sony Michel, Nick Chubb combination behind him. How much is going to be on his shoulders this year?
Well, I think more. I think they'll put more on his plate. I think he welcomes that. The good news for him is they should be a little bit better in the offensive line than they were a year ago.
Holyfield again, close to a first down.
I think where you'll see more that Jake Fromm's going to have to do is going to be on third down and making tough throws on third down. Last year, because of Chubb and Michel's ability, they were able to run the football in passing situations on third down quite successfully. They probably won't be able to do that as easily this year, which puts more on the quarterback. But Jake Fromm, again, he is a guy who really studies the position. He understands what they want to do offensively. He gets them in the right play.
There's Brian Harrion picking up a first down against the first-string defense. There's a 3rd and 1 conversion.
So we're going to see Elijah Holyfield and Brian Harrion a lot. They are not the two feature backs in this offense right now, but DeAndre Swift, who's the #1 guy, and Zamir White, who's another top recruit, and early enrollee, are both nursing injuries. So they're not going to be playing in this ball game. If they do play, they won't be 100%. So this is a good opportunity for Harrion and Holyfield to touch the football.
That time the blitz picked up, and Fromm dirts the ball, so it will be 2nd down and 10. And when Fromm comes to the line of scrimmage, without Chubb, without Sony Michel, is he going to see some different box counts? Is he going to see some different personnel on the field, you anticipating?
Well, I would think so. I would think that they aren't going to stack it up quite as much. You know, I think he proved that he can throw the football and can find the right matchups. Again, I think their offensive line will be better. And I think at wideout, even though they lost their leading receiver in Javon Wims, I think they're going to be pretty solid at the wide receiver position. One of the things that they did last year, really for the first time in Jim Chaney's career as the offensive coordinator, is utilize RPOs. I mean, obviously that is the run-pass option is a big part of offenses today. Jim Chaney used it last year for the first time. They're going to use more of it this year. It really suits Jake Fromm exceptionally well.
That's Brian Harrion getting back about 5 after a spring game sack. That's why it was a loss of 4. And there is Jim Chaney, the offensive coordinator, spends time with the tight ends as well.
Been a successful coach in a lot of places, has a lot of experience in the SEC. Of course, he was with Joe Tiller at Purdue, coached Drew Brees there. Been around some really good offensive football teams.
Four-man rush on 3rd down. Fromm throws one out to the edge, but this play is blown dead. And are they going to credit the defense with another sack of Jake Fromm? It looks like they will.
It's a quick whistle, but Tyler Clark, I think, did collapse the pocket. Number 52 was able to get in there, get a push. Of course, they want to protect the quarterback. You don't want a guy hitting the helmet as he throws the football, so you're going to have a little bigger halo and keeping people away from your quarterbacks in this ball game.
That was a pretty big halo.
Yeah, that was a big one.
If I was Jake Fromm, I'd say, you know what? It's not complete two-hand touch. Let me stand in there and have some traffic around me. Akil Crumpton is back deep to receive the punt. Now, you are not going to see aggressive rushing of the punter, and all the punt returns are going to be fair catches unless they roll into the end zone, which that one does. So you'll hear the crowd start to react as the freshman quarterback Justin Fields heads out onto the field for the first time in this spring game, and he is going to be a fun one to watch. The #1 overall player in our ESPN 300, and really is the definition of a dual threat quarterback. But we're not going to have an opportunity to see that second leg of his game today.
Well, and I think that's a big part of, if he has any edge in this quarterback competition, it's that piece. His ability as a runner, which we won't necessarily see tonight. But he is 230 pounds, I think, closer than that 221. Very talented young guy.
A check down to Prater Hudson.
I think the thing that the coaches were most impressed with so far in the spring with Justin Fields is they know what he had physically. They're excited about how quickly he's picking things up mentally. That was the real trademark and calling card for Jake Fromm last year. And Justin Fields is a similar kind of quarterback in terms of his ability to kind of process all of Jim Chaney's offense.
On time on the slant to Akil Crumpton.
See, that's an RPO. So that's your offensive line is blocking run. It's very difficult for the defense to react to this. The offensive line's blocking run. It's not pass protection. Justin Fields sees the matchup he wants and makes a nice quick throw. That's what your quick passing game has become in college football. It's not take a three-step drop and throw quick routes. It's run RPOs, and that's how you get your quick throws.
Wide receiver screen to Tyler Simmons. He's tripped up, but not before he crosses the 50 and gets down to the red team's 46-yard line. Latavius Brini made the stop. Now, what you've seen of Justin Fields, that processing, does he see it? Especially the complexity of SEC defenses. If he's called upon to play this year, do you think mentally he would be ready?
Well, based on what the coaches have said, I do. I do think he is ready. I think there's a couple things going for him. The early enrollee is a big thing for quarterbacks. To get in here and go through a spring and not just show up in August is a huge deal. Get your feet on the ground mentally and physically is a big advantage. I think the other thing is being in that quarterback room with a guy like Jake Fromm, who's going to push you mentally and push you on the field physically, is accelerating his development as well. So I think for a lot of reasons, he would be ready if called upon.
Arm strength isn't the issue. That was about as impressive an incompletion as I think you'll see from a freshman in any spring game this year. That was a laser beam to the far side, and he looks that way again. And again, a bullet outside the numbers that Tyler Simmons can't hold on to.
Now, that's the old issue with a wide receiver. Started to run without securing the catch. He took his eyes off the football at the last second and started to turn upfield and just forgot to secure the football. Now we have a 3rd and 10 for Justin Fields. Again, he would always be a running threat in a situation like this, but because they're not tackling him, that part of his game, not quite a big a deal today.
They give him the benefit of the doubt of breaking a tackle there, and he picks up about 3 yards before he is touched down by Eric Stokes. Well, it's the spring game. I guess you practice situations. You leave Justin Fields out there in this gray area of the field and let him go for it, or do you kick it away?
I think with Rodrigo Blankenship, you go ahead and let him bang one. I mean, obviously, he was darn near perfect last year, 20 of 23 on field goals. His career long was a 55-yarder. They're going to punt.
Yeah,
I thought they were going to let Rodrigo take a crack at it.
Well, Bill Rubright instead comes out, and he'll try and pin the red team inside his own 10-yard line.
Part of that is they are having a competition for the punting position. They know what they got at place kicker. They want to get as many punt situations for these guys who are battling for a job.
That one bounces into the end zone. We'll step aside for just a moment. 5:44 to go in the first quarter. It's the Georgia spring game here in Athens.
Trade up and save up to $300 at Samsung.com.
I'm Shree Bose, and I am a medical student. I think science can be an incredible force for good. This Windows 10 PC is great. It's really cool to have these 3D visualizations. I want to be making the discoveries that help people live better lives.
It's Saturday in Athens, and G-Day is in full force. Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, they're back in town to call the Dogs, and one of the best running back duos to ever play the game is still here between the hedges. Over 8,000 yards between the two of you, and I just noticed that you guys have switched jerseys. What was the plan coming in here? Are you just real recognize real?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Nick Chubb, so, I had to represent. Had to represent.
Well, what do you have to say about wearing Sony's jersey? Do you feel a little bit stronger right now?
I'm wearing the best athlete jersey right now. I represent, too.
All right, guys, I want to know what this draft process has meant to you and what it's been like going through it.
It meant a lot just because, I was in a position to be able to travel, see different teams, meet different coaches, and learn different things. So I respect it, I appreciate it, and I enjoyed it.
What is some of the feedback that you've gotten so far, Nick, from different scouts and teams that you've met with?
It's all been good. All the guys praise what we did here in Georgia, and we owe back to Georgia now. We go into meetings, we know everything from the board work because Georgia prepared us well, so it's been great traveling around.
Okay, so the last time I saw you guys, obviously it was disappointment in the locker room. But when you look back over the course of your careers, what is going to be the takeaway, the legacy that you two have left here?
Well, I think just the leadership, the impact that we had on our teammates. I think it was cool just because we could call each other brothers and have each other backs for the rest of our lives, and I think that's special.
We just, brought back Georgia football, showing these guys that, you can't be a championship team, and showing the fans also that, Georgia football is back, and that's a great thing about it.
All right, so for the first time in 4 years, we don't have a 1 or a 27 out here named Michelle and Chubb. So who are the new stars that we need to be concerned with? Give me a breakdown of the depth chart of the running back roster.
Breakdown of the depth chart. I don't know the depth chart, who's first, who's second, but I know there's a stable of backs. You got Swift back there, you got Holyfield, you got Harrion, you got Prather Hudson. You got a lot of guys that's going to be trying to compete for that number 1 spot, so just stay tuned.
All right, Nick, you got to do the same thing. I need a breakdown. They literally just handed him the championship rings. All right, we'll send it back up to the booth. I'm going to try on the ring as well. There you go. There you go. They just got them.
That's not bad.
That's
that is a lot of bling right there.
That's pretty sweet.
You have to give him back, Maria. He didn't even mention Zamir White, James Cook, who's Dalvin's little brother, 2 true freshmen that will be in that mix at running back. They just keep on reloading at running back here at Georgia.
Well, it's one of those places that has just had tremendous tradition at that tailback position, and it looks to be continuing.
An interception thrown by Fromm. And taking it to the house is DeAndre Baker, who may be the most important player on the back end of this defense, as he gets a pick 6 of Fromm and puts the block team on the board.
It's crazy. The play before, Fromm made a beautiful throw on the deep ball that was just dropped, and then this one got away from him. A little bit too high for Mecole Hardman. Maybe a little miscommunication with his slot receiver, and a nice job being there in the right spot by DeAndre Baker. Last time we saw him, he had a big interception in the championship game against Alabama. Very acrobatic, athletic play.
And talking about all the experience they've lost on that defensive side of the ball, how important is Baker on the back end of their defense this year?
Yeah, he's huge. I mean, he's a proven guy. And you want to have an established guy at each level of your defense. And they certainly have 2 of them on the back end with him and the safety, J.R. Reed, who played a significant role last year as well.
DeAndre Baker was all SEC, second team as voted by the coaches last season. 3 interceptions, 9 passes broken up, and a pick 6. There's Sony Michel and Nick Chubb pregame with the head coach, who's certainly going to miss them this year.
I'm always on the go. I'm always traveling. So I take my Surface laptop with me a lot. It's thin and super lightweight. Plus, the battery life is so long that I sometimes almost forget to bring my charger.
The future of your franchise depends on if you see hope or hype. Find out what our team sees at the NFL Draft, Thursday at 8 on ESPN.
Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. We're at the Georgia spring game here in Athens. A pick 6 for DeAndre Baker. And that gives the black team the lead. The blacks with the number 1 group defensively against the number 1s on offense. On the red side, Jake Fromm victimized by Baker.
With a quarterback and in this competition, every play is gauged and graded. And there's 2 parts to the play: the decision and the execution. That time it was a good decision by Jake Fromm, but poorly executed, and the result was a pick 6. Jake Fromm is going to read this as a hot read, and he gets rid of the football, but he overthrows the hitch route. Mecole Hardman, and the cornerback had eyes on the quarterback. He saw the high throw and broke in front of the football. So Jake Fromm made the right decision. He saw the right thing. He just didn't execute the play.
When you weight the quarterback battle, how important is the spring game?
It's important because, as Kirby said in the pregame to Maria, it's this atmosphere. It's more game-like than anything they've had during the spring. So certainly it counts for something. It also counts that he's going against the first-team defense, and Justin Fields is not.
Check down to Nauta. 5 yards against the blitz.
So we've seen Isaac Nauta now with 2 catches in this ball game. Last year, he only had 9 receptions. He had 29 the year before. Highly recruited, highly touted guy out of high school. Because of the RPOs, because of the 4 wide receiver sets, the tight ends last year were found blocking more than they were as receivers. But already in this ball game, Jim Chaney trying to get the football to his talented tight end.
Little jet sweep and a first down for Brian Harry. And is that the trickle down of losing the 2 running backs, that the ball will be spread around a little bit more to some different skill guys?
I think it's part of it. I think it's recognizing that this guy is a matchup problem for some people. So let's see if we can utilize him a little bit more than maybe we did last year. You know, you designate who are guys that can be playmakers for you offensively, and then you figure out how can we get them the football.
Play action for Fromm. Well protected. Wide open in the flat. It's Harrion. And he scoots for another first down.
I like Harrion because of his versatility. He's really good coming out of the backfield. He's pretty good at pass protecting. You know, he's a versatile guy. That time did a really nice job slipping out in the flat. It was a nice read by Jake Fromm. It's one of those plays as a quarterback. You want to make up for that interception, but still you got to take what the defense gives you. Don't get greedy and go for the big play. Take the safe play. Now you're inside the other team's territory.
Fromm looking for the home run. Riley Ridley. Does he have it? It's a battle. Who's got it? Incomplete. Ridley lost hand-to-hand combat with Tyreek McGee, and Ridley's shaken up. That looked about as good a throw as Jake Fromm could have made.
Well, he's thrown 2 deep balls today, and both of them have been right on the fingertips. And this is a play where Tyreek McGee he didn't give up on the play. He was beat. The ball was perfectly thrown. Ridley had both hands on it, and Tyreek McGee just ripped the ball out at the very end of the play. Nice job by Fromm using his eyes to look off the safety. That opened up that seam, and it was a perfect throw, but McGee just would not give up on the play and was able to knock it loose in the back of the end zone.
And let's hope Ridley just fell on the football and maybe had the wind knocked out of him.
I think he fell on his face. I think he fell on his face mask. Kind of stirred him up a little bit. He's a guy... You know, if you look at guys and say, who are some of the X factors for this team going forward? I think he's one of those guys. They lost their big receiver last year, Javon Wims. Riley Ridley had a pretty quiet season, and then in the championship game, he caught 6 passes for 82 yards. I mean, he was the main go-to guy in that game, and he's a big physical body. Of course, he's bigger than his brother Calvin Ridley, who will be a first-round pick next week. But I think he's one of those guys they need to step up as a wide receiver on the outside.
Wide receiver screen to Terry Godwin. And he's brought down. A good one-on-one tackle is made by J.R. Reed.
Godwin's a guy that they know what they have in him. I mean, he is a quality receiver. He can play both inside or outside. Made some big catches for the team a year ago. Of course, the acrobatic touchdown catch against Notre Dame, and that win in South Bend was one of the best highlights in all of college football last season.
3rd down and 9 for the first-team offense against the first-team defense. And Fromm, high throw over the middle, almost picked off again. Well read by Richard LeCount as he jumped the route. Now it'll be 4th down and 9.
It was a high throw because of the inside pressure. Jake Fromm was not able to really drive into that throw, and the ball sailed on him. And when that ball sails, when you throw down the middle, sometimes a lot of times bad things happen. Watch the inside pressure. Forces him to kind of get that ball up in the air a little bit. And his tight end Warner actually did a nice job breaking up the interception.
That's a true freshman, Karis Jackson, back deep to receive the punt.
All right, now I saw one of the craziest things I've ever seen in reading about this guy. He's a wide receiver. He's a track sprinter, but he is also a state champion shot put guy. How does that happen? A wide receiver.
That's as freaky as an athlete can be, I guess, when you combine strength and speed.
Yeah, some freaky power.
Illegal substitution. Defense, 12 men in the formation. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
I guess sometimes you're going to have those bookkeeping penalties during the spring game. And the black team just picked up one there. This is Marshall Long trying to pin it deep. And running under it on the dead run is Karis Jackson, but the play blown dead immediately, as we are not going to have full-on punt returns, as you would expect in the spring game. And the NFL Draft is on ESPN for the 39th straight year. The first round will come your way from AT&T Stadium in Arlington next Thursday at 8 Eastern. Second and third rounds are Friday, and then the final 4 rounds on Saturday. Trey Wingo with Mel Kiper, Louis Riddick, Kirk Herbstreit. They'll host it. There could be plenty of surprises and plenty of dogs. We'll hear their names called over those 3 days. All 3 days streaming live on the ESPN app. No one covers the draft like we do. Coming back to Athens in a moment.
Let's go, Georgia! Here we go.
Oh my, look how I work it. Look what I do, don't need no gimmick. No play, when I play, I go all in.
Trade up and save up to $300 at Samsung.com.
The future of your franchise depends on if you see hope or hype. Find out what our team sees at the NFL Draft, Thursday at 8 on ESPN.
Welcome back to Athens, the middle of G-Day. Right now, Black is up 7 on red. And, Coach, I just saw you hop into the red huddle, so tell me what you were trying to get across to them.
I'm just trying to make sure some of these young kids we got know which way to go. Sometimes they get enamored by these fans we got out here, and they got to settle down and play.
All right, now we've seen your offense take some deep shots, and we've also seen an interception. What have you seen from the execution on the offensive side of the ball?
A little bit of both. They did some good things, moved the ball, changed the field position, and then Jake made an errant throw, threw it over the guy, and the guy made a hell of a play, Baker running it back. So it's exciting to see the defense score. We got to do some better things on offense.
Does DeAndre Baker get anything for the pick six?
Hopefully he gets a steak if he wins.
All right, he's trying to avoid the beanie weenies. All right, Coach, we'll let you get back out there and hear you coach a little bit.
I don't think for 1 second the difference between steak and beanie weenies doesn't mean something to these guys at the Georgia spring game. That's Maria Taylor. I'm Bob Wischusen with Todd Blackledge, and we've got the head coach wired for sound. We got some pretty good stuff in the first quarter. Let's listen into some of the things that he had to say.
Hurry up! Hurry up! Hurry up! Hey, got a strike. Daquan, 5, you got to knock him back. You got to knock him back. 15, 13, come on. You didn't think any of those were sacks, did you? One of them I called. You didn't think it was you? I got to let you call it because the scrimmages I've been calling it. Tyreek, get your hands on him. Get your hands on him. Pick six and trap. Field goal. He went 2 trap on him. Let's go. He went sonic. He threw the ball over the hitch. Miko did. Miko stood there. He threw it right over it. Hurry.
What are your takeaways when you watch Kirby work?
Well, he's a high-energy guy. You know, he's a guy that when you talk to some of the other assistants, they say he crosses every T, dots every I, and he loves to coach DBs. You know, most of the guys he was singling out to give a comment to are defensive backs. He's a technician. He played defensive back himself. That's who he loves to coach. When he was a coordinator, he kind of worked with defensive backs exclusively. He's a fun guy. I mean, he coaches with a lot of energy, a lot of passion. And it's remarkable to me what he's done in a short amount of time here. You know, he didn't inherit an empty cupboard. I mean, Mark Richt recruited well and had success. He inherited some really good players. But the jump they made from 8-5 in his first year to 13-2 a year ago, and then to back that up with the kind of recruiting that they've had, you know, his comments at the end of that championship game that Georgia's here to stay, I think is accurate.
Well, the #1 recruit in America is out there at quarterback now as Fields sidearms one to the near side, and it's the second time in his 3 years he has brought the #1 quarterback recruit to Athens. What does it also tell you? As we see, his recruiting classes have been off the charts in terms of our rankings, but what does it say to you as a quarterback, obviously, when you were a young man that was recruited at the highest level, that Justin Fields sees Jake Fromm go out there as a sophomore now, coming off a year where he took his team to the national championship game, and says, yes, I still want to go there and compete for that job?
Yeah. Well, it says a lot about the kid, first of all, in his belief system. And really, Jake Fromm did the same thing a year ago with Jacob Eason being here as a freshman starter who was a highly recruited guy. But it says a lot about the kid saying, you know what, I believe in myself. I believe that I can go and compete and have a chance to win the job. And I think it says a lot about the message that Kirby sends, which is, we're going to play the best guy. You're going to have a chance to compete. We're not going to promise you anything that we can't, you know, follow through on, but we'll give you a chance to compete, and the best guy is going to play. And we're going to judge that day in and day out, and we're going to judge the quarterback position just like we do the left guard and the outside linebacker. We're going to treat it all the same. So I think that's what you're seeing. And, you know, ironically, the same thing happened in Alabama. You know, Jalen Hurts was a freshman, won the SEC championship game, came up a little bit short in the championship game against Clemson. And the next thing you know, the #1 dual threat quarterback, Tonga Vailoa, he signs with Alabama, and all of a sudden Jalen Hurts is in a competition too. So, you know, that's kind of a trademark of the great programs, that kind of competition.
Fields slings a laser down the sideline, trying to drop it in, and it's incomplete. Looking for Jeremiah Holloman. Good coverage from Eric Stokes.
I thought Stokes might have got away with a little bit too much hand action on this play. Ball hung on the air, pretty well thrown. I thought Stokes got away with one there. Didn't know where the ball was and was kind of ripping through the receiver's arms. But when your head coach loves DBs and he's a defensive coordinator and he's running the show, that flag's going to stay in the pocket.
That kind of sounds like a bitter old quarterback looking for a flag to me. 3rd down and a long 8, close to 9 here for Fields. And here comes a blitz. And he will be under pressure, and they'll give the defense the sack. Monty Rice, who is one of those by committee guys defensively that's going to have to step up and fill some pretty big shoes. The entire linebacker core lost for Georgia from last year.
Yeah, the biggest thing for a young quarterback to adjust to is, yes, this is a blitz. Yes, it's an extra guy coming, but they're not playing man-to-man with no free safety. It's kind of a zone behind it. It's a zone pressure. And you can confuse offensive line blocking, and for a young quarterback, you're just not used to seeing that. You don't see those kind of pressures in high school football.
Intentional end-over-end kick again from Bill Rubright. And does a pretty good job finding the corner and knocks it out at the 12. Just under 10 minutes to go in the first half of the Georgia spring game. Terrific scene here in Athens.
Look how I work it. Look what I do, don't need no gimmick. No play when I play, I go all in.
Trade up and save up to $300 at Samsung.com.
The future of your franchise depends on if you see hope or hype. Find out what our team sees at the NFL Draft, Thursday at 8 on ESPN.
The brand new ESPN app, now with ESPN Plus. Get more ESPN and download now.
And you need to get on the app and check out ESPN's Draft Academy. This 8-part documentary is a personal behind-the-scenes look at 6 of the top NFL draft prospects. Available now on ESPN Plus, streaming exclusively on the ESPN app. You can start your free trial of ESPN Plus today. Speaking of top of the draft guys, one standing by with Maria.
For sure. One of the top 10 possibly in the draft coming. Roquan Smith here is a Butt Kiss Award winner. You just received your championship ring. When you think back to the season that you had, the career that you've had here at Georgia, what are the moments that are going to stick out with you?
just the brotherhood that we shared here, and you know, I feel like just everything that we did here, and just like winning the SEC, haven't won that since 2005. So like actually winning that and whatnot, it was pretty crazy.
Everyone describes you as the pit bull, like you were the pit bull of this defense. What do you think that you will be able to add to the next NFL team that you end up playing for?
I feel like my IQ of the game, my leadership abilities, and just a great teammate on and off the field, and just always a big helping hand, you know, to help my teammates regardless of the situation.
All right, we've already seen an interception out here today by DeAndre Baker. Talk to me about some of the leaders that now Georgia has to depend on the defensive side of the ball.
Yes, a lot of those guys are going to have to step up this year. You know, the Ledbetter starting on the D-line. You have linebackers like Tate Natrez, Jawan Taylor, those type guys. Outside cornerbacks, defensive backs, you have, you know, J.R. Reed, DeAndre Baker. So I feel like all those guys will definitely step up, and I think they're ready to take on the challenge.
I know it starts with Kirby Smart. You got to take us into the mind of that head coach, what it's like being in meeting rooms with him, and what he added to this Georgia football program to allow you guys to make it to a championship game.
I would say he's very intense. You know, he's intense, and he's energetic, and he's powerful about everything that he does. And it's great when you're playing for someone like that and knowing that they bring their hard hat to work each and every day. So, you know, going up against him each and every day, he's going to push you to your best, and it was awesome actually playing for him. I loved it.
All right, well, we'll be watching you in the draft. So what are you going to do when you hear your name called? What you got?
I have no idea, but I'm excited.
All right, Rose excited down here, guys. Back up to you.
And Maria, he will not have to wait long to hear his name called.
He was such a fun guy to watch play last year, Bob. The thing that stands out to me, very similar in this way to Reuben Floyd the year before at Alabama. He's so fast. He runs from sideline to sideline, blitzes the quarterback, plays at such a high speed level at the linebacker position, reads things quickly, and gets to the ball quickly.
There's a deep ball thrown on time by Stetson Bennett to Trey Blood, who was able to wall off the coverage and make a terrific catch and bring it down to the 31-yard line. That's a gain of 44.
Nice throw by Stetson Bennett. His grandfather, Buddy Bennett, was a quarterback in the SEC. Of course, at South Carolina, at that time, they weren't in the SEC. Now they are.
That's a game that in week 2 of this season for Georgia could be the determining game when you get to the end of the SEC East.
It's going to be a huge game. Williams-Brice Stadium, Columbia.
Well, you don't usually have a game that early on your schedule that could be that impactful as Bennett throws it away. You know, back to Roquan Smith for a moment. We talked about Chubb and Michelle and how hard it's going to be to replace them offensively. What do you do defensively, schematically, to cover up for the fact that you don't have that sideline-to-sideline presence anymore?
Well, I don't know that you do any change or change anything schematically. You just you can't fill that spot with one guy. You mentioned they're looking at a number of different guys. They're trying to roll some different fellas through there. The one guy of the 4 that's kind of trying to replace that inside linebacker position, Natrez Patrick, has the most experience. He's actually started a number of games, but he's had some off-the-field issues, and right now, Kirby Smart says he's got to prove to us that he's going to be reliable. He's definitely good enough. He's definitely talented enough, has the experience. However, he's got to prove himself.
And that's a lot to lose. You were adding up just the pure games started, veteran-wise, on all 3 levels of their defense that they lose from last year.
Yeah, just a lot of not just talented players, but guys who played and started a lot of football games here at Georgia. And you just don't replace that in one spring football season.
Tipped ball. Incomplete on 3rd down.
The talent is there. There's young talent that you know is as good as some of the guys that they lost. Now Roquan, he's at a different level. He's a top 5 to 7 pick in the NFL draft. But the other guys they lost, they've got guys just as talented, but they don't have that experience, and guys are going to have to step up and play different kind of roles this year.
Aren't many coaches, though, that have the security blanket at place kicker that Kirby Smart has. But Rodrigo Blankenship is a terrific collegiate place kicker. Was a semifinalist last year for the Groza Award. He's going to try one from 41 here. 20 of 23 last season. And he avoids the announcer. Jensen hooks it through and gets the red team on the board. It's been a very competitive first half with just under 5:20 to go here in Athens at the Georgia Spring Game.
it. Love what I do, don't need no gimmick. No play when I play, I go all in.
Trade up and save up to $300 at Samsung.com.
The future of your franchise depends on if you see hope or hype. Find out what our team sees at the NFL Draft, Thursday at 8 on ESPN.
Back at the Georgia spring game here in Athens. It is game day in Athens, 7-3. The black squad has the lead over the red. Bob Wischusen here with Todd Blackledge and Maria Taylor. If I would have told you they were playing LSU today, you'd believe it. That's the kind of crowd we've got for the spring game. It's amazing the fan support that this program gets. And so many of the great programs in the SEC as well. That ball went through the back of the end zone, but they set up a designed return just to allow the special teams a chance to practice a return. And Akil Crumpton weaves his way out to about the 25-yard line. And it looks like Justin Fields is still going to be out there. And now when we get to 4 minutes and under, the clock will stop at the end of each half. So he has a chance to play some real football, manipulate the clock if necessary as well.
A little more situational football. Having an okay game so far. Hasn't made any bad decisions. 5 of 9 for 53 throwing it. 2 rushes for 15 yards. But again, you can't really take those numbers too seriously because they're not tackling the quarterback. Jake Fromm with the 1 interception on the errant throw that was picked off by DeAndre Baker. But a nice job, or a nice opportunity right here before the end of the half for Justin Fields.
And he will throw it on first down and uses that mobility to escape the rush and extend the play. Incomplete, though, on the check down, looking for Charlie Werner. Todd, what would it actually take for Justin Fields to win the job and be the starter in the opener? Is that even realistic?
I don't know if it's realistic because I just think Jake Fromm, what he did last year, how he's continued to improve. I think he's a better quarterback now than he was a year ago. And that year of experience under his belt and what the team believes in Jake Fromm. I think they think really highly of Justin Fields also and know that if he is going to be called on, that he can help them win. But Jake Fromm is a proven guy to this team. Both of these guys have what you look for when you talk about an it factor with quarterbacks. They both have it. Jake Fromm also has a year under his belt of college football that he came up 1 or 2 plays short of a national championship. I can just even seeing in this game, you can see a little bit of the difference. I think arm strength and athleticism, Fields has the edge. In seeing things and recognizing things quicker, it's Jake Fromm that has the edge. And then, of course, the game experience goes to number 11.
3rd down and 8. Fields will be sacked. That's a good power rush from the outside from Keon Brown.
Yeah, Keon Brown he's not the biggest guy, but he can be a really good edge rusher, especially when you get him man-to-man on a tight end. This is a mismatch with a good pass rusher. That's not a tackle. That's Jackson Harris, a backup tight end, trying to block a very talented edge rusher in Keon Brown.
And it looks like Jake Fromm has the helmet back on, and it looks like he is going to be going back in the game to run this next possession for the Red Squad as they get the ball back. Nicole Hardman will let it bounce, field it on a hop, and gets touchdown just inside the 40-yard line. As we take a look at some key moments, certainly going back to the national championship game, and these were plays that were in your brain this entire offseason.
Well, I think this really turned the game. It's 20-7 Georgia. Baker makes this great interception. They got a first down in Alabama territory because of this play, leading 20-7. But the very next play, the craziest play of the game, the ricochet off the helmet and the interception by Raekwon Davis, and all of a sudden Alabama now gets the ball in Georgia territory, leads to a field goal and a 20-10 game. And really, the game, I think, really turned on that moment. I mean, Georgia had a chance to put them away after the interception, and Alabama came up with a huge defensive play right after that.
Long throw to Jason Stanley is there for Fromm. It's amazing. You spend your entire season all the way through spring practice, your spring game, your summer camp, all the way through the regular season. You win the SEC title, and a sidearm pass that glances off of the defensive lineman's helmet may be what keeps you from winning the national championship.
Well, a pretty good throw by the freshman quarterback by Alabama at the end of the game, too. But that was a critical turn of events there in the third quarter.
Harrion, first down. Black team thinks he lost the football. Jonathan Ledbetter out there to help on the stop.
You know, we're not seeing DeAndre Swift, who is going to be the heir apparent at the running back position. He's a bigger back than either one of the guys that we're seeing carry the football today.
From to the tight end, Nauta again. Another first down.
The thing about DeAndre Swift, too, that's interesting is he had more receptions last year as the third back than Sony Michel and Nick Chubb had combined. He had 17 receptions. The two of them only had 13 catches together.
From to Harrion, who's been a very good pass catcher so far here in the first half, and he is close to another first down to the 22.
Nice job by Harrion running out of a tackle. Nate McBride, a highly recruited guy, a guy they're hoping will really step up as a linebacker, had him for a very short game, and Harrion just ran out of the tackle and turned it into a first down.
And we have a feature on DeAndre Swift coming up that you'll see at halftime as we take a very brief break here in Athens. Only a 12-minute halftime, and then they'll get right back to action. Coming up on 2 minutes to go in the first half. And the number one offense just about in the red zone. Play action. From to the back of the end zone, incomplete over the head of Stanley. Flags down back at the line of scrimmage.
Personal foul, hands to the face, defense, number 10, half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
That's Malik Herring, who got a little too close and a little too friendly with Jake Fromm.
You know, as we see Jake Fromm engineer a 2-minute drive here, you know, in his first start, we talk about that it factor on the road at Notre Dame. His first start, true freshman, didn't have a great game numbers-wise, but when the game was on the line, they were down 19-17 with under 7 minutes to play. He led them on a nice drive. He was 3 for 4 on the drive, set up the go-ahead field goal to win that game at Notre Dame and win over his teammates as well.
They'll run it here with Holyfield. Well, if I gave you your choice, kind of in a vacuum as a coach, not quite the athlete, but experience, sees it factor, over the younger player that doesn't quite see it as much, but has the explosive capability of Fields, as Fromm throws a wobbler towards the end zone, and is that picked off? It was intercepted by Tyreek McGee, but he was out of bounds. But given that choice, if you had to weigh the two, what would you take?
Well, it's a good problem to have, first of all. Again, to start the season, as we take a look at this, ball kind of got away from Jake Fromm a little bit too, in between two receivers. But the thing about it, starting the season, why I think Jake Fromm is the guy you got to go with is because playing the quarterback position is more than just throwing, running, and making explosive plays. It's about decision making and getting your team in the right play or out of bad plays. And that's where he has the upper hand right now. And not that Justin Fields won't continue to develop in that, and by the end of the summer and the start of the season will be even better at that part of it than he is right now. But that's what set Jake Fromm apart, even from Jacob Eason last year, who had a years of experience against him.
Well, the red team has to settle for a field goal here. It should be a chip shot from only 24 yards away for Blankenship. Although I think Kirby Smart isn't happy with 24 yards. Going to back him up a little further. DeAndre Walker.
Penalty requires a loss of down at the spot of the foul. Fourth down.
DeAndre Walker pressuring Jake Fromm, and looks like they got Fromm instead for grounding.
You mentioned 20 of 23 a year ago. 3 for 3 in the championship game. Career high 55-yarder. against Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl. This guy was automatic.
And he stays automatic here in the spring game, knocking another one through to make it a 1-point game with 1.5 minutes to go before halftime. And Kirby Smart is the SEC Football Coach of the Year. They've got a new basketball coach, though, here in Athens. He's down on the sideline with Maria.
Well, yeah, Shu, so far Coach Crean has had 17 workouts with your current
17
team?
workouts in a little over a month.
Okay, so what's your current takeaway as the new head coach of Georgia basketball?
I love their energy. I mean, I have a lot of energy without a doubt, and they have energy, and they've really responded well to everything we're trying to do. It's an excellent group of young people, and we're just trying to get the foundation of the program in, and that's really in a fundamental way, trying to get the details down and all of that. But again, if you don't have the energy and enthusiasm, it becomes drudgery, and it's never been like that. They've worked extremely hard.
All right, we've seen what Kirby's been able to do in 2 seasons. What is your takeaway from what he's done with the football program and how you can ultimately implement it in basketball?
We just need to learn to emulate as many things from the biggest picture to the smallest details, because I think that's why they're so successful. And you look at days like this, and you know exactly why it's an absolute honor to come and coach at a school like this. When you see the level, the number of people here on an April day, it's crazy.
All right, you used to be an analyst with us, by the way. Do you need to go up to the booth with Shu and Blackley?
Bob doesn't want to work with me. My last game, my last Big 12 game was with Bob Wischusen. And you talk about a gamer, he had flight problems the whole day. I came in, got in there an hour before the game, maybe, changed, came in and was like a seasoned pro that had done 500 Baylor and West Virginia games, which he probably had already done. But working with seasoned pros like him and following Todd Blackledge and getting me interviewed by you, loved ESPN.
All right, well, good luck, Bob. I'm glad you made it safely and soundly here. And now Coach is about to address these fans, about 75,000 strong. He's got 3 minutes to ad-lib. I hope he can handle it.
Yeah, he even underplayed it. It was about 9 minutes before tip, and it was Coach Crean, I'm Bob Wischusen. It's good to meet you. All right, throw the ball up and let's go. On the run is Justin Fields. Under some pressure, being chased to the sideline, and they'll blow this play dead inside the 30-yard line with 1:18 to go before halftime.
The last time I saw Tom Crean was on the sidelines at a Michigan football practice in August. I was getting ready to prepping for my opening game last year, which was Michigan and Florida. And I was up there, and Tom was up there with his son. Of course, he's married into the Harbaugh family and very much a Michigan football fan as well.
High throw to the sideline. That's an errant throw from Fields, so it will be 3rd down and 14. And a different kind of challenge for Tom Crean. You know, his previous stops, places like Marquette and Indiana, those are unquestionably basketball schools.
Yeah.
Now he comes here. The basketball program, though, it seems that the schools that do it right can feed off of the success and the enthusiasm that the football program creates, and vice versa.
Yeah. Well, I'll guarantee you one thing. He'll take advantage of bringing basketball recruits to football games this fall and let them get a feel for that.
A ripping a throw there is Justin Fields, and busting free is Akil Crumpton down the sideline with an extra gear. 3rd down and 14 becomes a 1st down all the way across midfield to the plus 40-yard line, and that was a rifle of a throw from the freshman Justin Fields.
Kirby happy with the throw and catch, probably very upset with the poor tackling. You come up, you just try to make contact, and you don't get him on the ground. That was Latavius Brenny, number 36, who wasn't able to wrap up the tackle, and it's a 1st down.
Ended up as a gain of 34 in all, and that's freshman to freshman as Kyrus Jackson is able to catch an out for 5 yards with a flag down in the offensive backfield.
There's no foul on the play.
Fair enough. So counted as 5 yards, makes it 2nd down and 5. Pocket collapses. Good vision, though, for Fields. Flips it to the sideline to Prather Hudson for a 1st down.
That was pretty right there. Now, I mean, he was initially thinking run. He knows he's under a minute. He has awareness of where his outlet receiver is. And at the last moment, without getting any body into it, just going to flip this thing to the sideline with a little bit of velocity and a lot of accuracy, and another 1st down.
That time with anticipation jumping the route was KJ Smith.
Take a look at this play again. He knows where his outlet is, and as he starts to run, he says, you know what, let me get the ball to the sideline, let him make yards and get out of bounds and stop the clock. That's a smarter play than me trying to run the ball up the middle.
Second down in the red zone.
I think they got to throw something to the post here, towards the end zone and not the sideline.
5-man rush. Avoiding the rush is Fields, but they will say, spring game wise, that's good enough for a sack as the blitz was coming off the edge. And Fields was brought down. At least two-hand touch when you're wearing that white jersey.
Pretty good coverage. You know, that's the thing. I mean, the rusher got there free. That was David Marshall, number 51. But good coverage down the field. Justin Fields not able to get rid of the football on time.
Is this one of those game management situations as well, where it's 3rd and 17? You're right on the edge of field goal range. You want to see your quarterback make a smart decision here to make sure you get 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, you don't, if you convert the first down, that's huge. But obviously, you want to get a few more yards and make sure you get out of here with 3.
And there is the check down. Caught by Hudson. And that basically secures them the field goal. And while that looks like a bit of a give-up play to maybe the fans, isn't that a game management decision that a coach will focus on with the maturity of a quarterback?
Especially in a first half. I mean, you want to get points. You want to go to the locker room with momentum. So why force a bad play here?
And instead of calling a timeout, Kirby Smart wants to see his team run a bit of the fire drill of getting the field goal group on the field, with Brooks Buse sending a line drive on the way, and that is no good. And that will take us to halftime with the black on top of the red, 7-6.
That's a steak and lobster play right there. You know, that's the difference between beanies and weenies and steak and lobster right there.
Some bitter guys potentially over on the sideline. As the dinner menu might change at the end based on a medium range missed field goal. Still a very competitive first half, and a half played at an outstanding pace, and we'll see how the quarterbacks look in the second half between Fromm and Fields as well. And there's Maria down to the field getting set to talk to the head coach. It's the spring game for everyone. Even our camera guys got to hustle over there.
I
Maria?
love that. Yeah. All right, Coach. The last quarterback we saw with the ball in their hands was Justin Fields. What did you see from that offensive series?
Did a nice job managing the 2-minute. Got a couple throws in there. He adds some time, makes it harder to cover for a long time. Moved the ball down the field. I really stole a field goal, but we missed it.
All right, 7-6. Is that great defense or poor offensive execution so far?
It's a fast half. When you got a running clock, you don't get as many plays. So it's harder to score when we do that. But both teams are playing well. We missed a couple passes.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Maria, thanks very much. It was a short-range missed field goal for Brooks Buse just before halftime. You can see Kirby on the left side of the screen there, trying to body English that one home. The halftime report next. Begins Thursday on ESPN, and ESPN's Draft Academy is worth watching. An 8-part documentary, a personal behind-the-scenes look at 6 of the top NFL draft prospects. Available now on ESPN Plus and streaming exclusively on the app. Start your free trial of ESPN Plus today. Some players you'll get a chance to see in that feature: Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Minkah Fitzpatrick. It's worth watching. We'll come back with the second half in just a moment here in Georgia. Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. Some of the sororities here at Georgia celebrating graduation early. And players that are looking to graduate to the next level on the field at the Georgia spring game. Bob Wischusen here with Todd Blackledge and Maria Taylor, just about set for the start of the third quarter. A low-scoring first half, but of course with a running clock, you would expect less possessions and fewer points scored. And right now the defense certainly looks like it's a little bit ahead of the offense. We were watching Jake Fromm warm up on the sideline. It looks like both of the top two quarterbacks are going to still be playing significant snaps here in the second half. And it'll be a touchback to start the second half. Again, Bob Wischusen here with Todd Blackledge. We'll check in with Maria in just a moment. Impressions from the first half and from the quarterback specifically.
Well, I thought both guys did well. I mean, I thought they both made some good plays, some good decisions. The one bad play was Jake Fromm's interception. It was returned for a touchdown by DeAndre Baker. I think that he looks like, again, what you would expect, a little bit more comfortable in what he sees, the ball getting out of his hand. I think Justin Fields has held on to it a little bit longer. He has run the football some, and again, it's hard to gauge how successful he would be running the football because they're not tackling the quarterback. But part of that is because, you know, he's not seeing the kind of looks that he wants to throw the football.
And Fields with a wide receiver screen to start off the second half to Akil Crumpton. A flag thrown from the secondary. So we'll have to check the penalty marker after a gain of about 5 on first down. As we take a look at the quarterback numbers from the first half. Fromm with the pick 6, the only real blemish. Pretty efficient for Justin Fields, 118 yards.
Yeah, very solid. I think, again, both guys have been very solid. You know, Justin Fields working with the number 2 O-line, the number 2 receivers and backs against the number 2 defense. And Jake Fromm working with the ones against the ones.
Face masking was the call. That tacks on 15 yards for the black squad. And that puts them out near midfield. Prather Hudson. Close to another first down, a gain of 9.
Nice cut that time by Hudson. That wide stretch type play. The back has the ability with his vision to cut up at any time he sees a crease. Took that thing, he pressed it to the edge of the line and made a nice cut upfield for a nice gain of 9 yards.
Hudson again, bouncing and getting bounced out of bounds close to a first down. And it looks as if they will give him progress to the 40-yard line. Needed 1, got 2. So it is a first down. True freshman Brenton Cox made the stop, and he's one of those early arrival players that could carve out some playing time for the Dogs.
Has really flashed at times during spring ball. He's 6'4", 250 pounds, out of Stockbridge, Georgia. This is a perfect situation right here for a play-action deep ball. After a couple nice runs in this territory.
Hudson continues to possibly set up that play action with a gain of 2 more. You know, Brenton Cox was a player that when we were in our meeting yesterday with Kirby Smart, he mentioned specifically has been a very pleasant surprise and has flashed a lot since he's arrived on campus. The number 5 defensive end and number 11 player overall on our ESPN 300.
Well, it's just amazing. You know, each year it seems like these top high school players, they're bigger, stronger, faster. They're more ready to come right in and play college football. And then the whole early enrollee thing, 9 of them this year for Georgia. That number is increasing all over college football. What an advantage to come in and get into, you know, the strength program, get into the academic program, everything that goes into making that jump from high school to college. You get a huge advantage by coming in like that.
7 of the top 25 coming to Georgia, and 5 of those players early enrollees.
Yeah. It's an impressive class. They signed 26, 19 of them in the early signing period.
Justin Fields, touch throw down the sideline on 3rd down, and breaking tackles is Jeremiah Holloman, and he's out of bounds at the 2-yard line. That's a gain of 36 on 3rd down and 8.
Beautiful throw in between the corner and the safety. This is a touch throw. Drop it in between the 2 defenders on the outside. Really well done by Justin Fields.
Now a flag is down, as is an official's hat. So let's see what the call is. Did Holloman go out of bounds?
There's no foul for illegal touching. The receiver was forced out of bounds, came back in and completed the catch. First down.
So the officials get together and rule it a force out, which allows Holloman to come back in and catch the football. So it's 1st and goal at the 2-yard line. Prather Hudson bulldozes his way into the end zone for a touchdown for the Black Squad.
Really nice drive that time. Out of the locker room. Start the 3rd quarter. Justin Fields leading the way. Prather Hudson with a couple nice runs. You have to respect, even though you're not tackling the quarterback, you have to respect his fake on that zone read type play. And Prather Hudson able to take it inside for the touchdown.
And the point after is tacked on by Buse. 8-point lead for the Black as they are closing in on steak as opposed to beanie weenies. That is what is on the line today here in the Georgia spring game. And what we also have on the line, mic'd up for sound, is Kirby Smart. Let's listen in to a little of the head coach.
Get me a first down. Jason, good job. Hey, Brian, I need a first here bad, okay? I need a first. Not anything special, just a first. No, let it go, too late. That was a sack. We didn't call it. Yeah, he would have killed him. He was unblocked. Okay. Hey, Justin, is there a greater chance of a field goal here or a touchdown? Be smart. No rush inside. I'm
pretty sure that's
a lot of wind up there, boy. Good hit. Rodrigo!
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Ron!
Is good from
That's a great kick.
5:19 left in the half.
Moving what we were talking about with Justin Fields. Hey, Justin, what's more important here? Trying to go for a first down or making sure a field goal happens in 3rd down and long? Situational football, the education of a young quarterback.
Absolutely. I mean, the young quarterback, your instinct is to try to make every play and try to make every play a big play. You don't need to do that. Do your job. That's something you hear Kirby Smart say over and over and over in meetings, in the practice, on the practice field. Do your job. And sometimes a quarterback's job is to just make a smart, safe play.
In high school, you experienced this. Justin Fields, obviously, when you're a top high school quarterback, you probably are capable of making every play, regardless of down and distance. How hard is it to leave that behind?
Well, you're capable of making big plays more often, and you're also capable of getting away with a mistake.
Right.
Because they're not going to make you pay. At this level, mistakes get pounced upon.
There's a trick play, underthrown and intercepted by Jason Stanley. Or check that Richard LeCount. They tried the end-around jet sweep option pass. And Richard LeCount sat on it and picked it off.
Well, they had a receiver. I think Jason Stanley was open, and Hardman just not able to get enough on the football. See, you could see Stanley had a couple steps on the defense. It was well blocked. He had time, just underthrew it. And Richard LeCount, who's one of those guys that Kirby Smart says has got to step up for us. He's shown flashes all through the spring. They lost Dominic Sanders, their leading guy in the secondary. And they think LeCount can be that guy, but he's got to do it on a more consistent basis.
Yeah, Maria made a good point with Kirby Smart in our production meeting, saying that Richard LeCount seems to be that guy you're trying to send a couple of messages to through the media to see if he gets the message, and it seems like he did. Quick out to the sideline for a gain of about 6. J.T. Dooley, a redshirt freshman, hauls it in from Justin Fields.
Now, Georgia has an interesting coaching situation in terms of their coordinators. Jim Chaney's the offensive coordinator, the play caller, but he coaches the tight ends. The quarterbacks this year are coached by another guy. They're coached by James Coley, who's also the co-offensive coordinator. I think he was given that title to keep him here at Georgia. Jimbo Fisher tried to hire him at Texas A&M as an offensive coordinator. They had worked together before. James Coley stayed here. He's also an excellent recruiter in the state of Florida. So he's working with the quarterbacks, and then instead of working the receivers like he did last year, they hired Cortez Hankton as the new wide receiver coach from Vanderbilt. So a couple changes on the offensive staff this year for the Bulldogs.
Third down. Fields extending the play, and with speed picks up the first down. And he may have had more if this wasn't two-hand touch.
Well, I think we're seeing enough evidence of what he's going to be able to do in terms of extending some plays, in terms of turning bad plays into good plays with just speed and athleticism. And then the other thing that we are not seeing that we'll see in the regular season is at 230 pounds running that fast, he's going to run over some defensive backs that come up and try to tackle him.
Ian Donald McIntyre picks up 4. Is there a chance that Justin Fields at some point during this season just makes it impossible to keep him on the bench?
He could, you know, I mean, it just depends on how he continues to develop. You know, and I think to Jake Fromm's credit, he's handling it the exact right way, which is, hey, I'm going to help him to get better. I'm going to work with him because I know if he's better, he's going to make me better. They're both great competitors. They understand the dynamics of a quarterback position that's not like a backup at any other position that's going to play 20 to 25 snaps a game. Backup quarterback's only going to play if the guy in front of you gets hurt or he's playing bad and they pull him or something like that happens. You say, well, why not have some kind of a special package for Justin Fields to utilize his talent?
Right.
The problem with that is they don't have any depth at the quarterback position. There's only 2 scholarship quarterbacks, and if you get Justin Fields hurt by bringing him in just to run the football, not sure that is really in your best interest anyway.
Yeah, the risk reward isn't necessarily there to do that.
Now, they might play him in a regular way, but not in special package type situation.
Third down, another bullet outside the numbers. A strike to Matt Landers for a first down.
I think this second half now here in the third quarter, he looks a lot more comfortable than he did in the first half. His feet are set. You know, when a quarterback is comfortable, 2 things you notice. 1, his feet are calm, and 2, his eyes, his vision sees everything. When a guy gets jittery, his feet are jittery, and his vision really narrows at the quarterback position.
Now a throw with touch to the back corner of the end zone. Hauled in by Landers. That's a touchdown.
That is a beautiful throw, and that's knowing your personnel. Matt Landers is 6'5". So you throw that football to the back pylon high, and only your guy can make the catch. If he doesn't catch it, it's an incomplete pass. You cannot make a better throw than Justin Fields did right there to his tallest receiver.
Boy, the touch throw down the near sideline on third down, a touch throw to the back corner of the end zone to go along with a few balls where he's really ripped it. He has shown more versatility in making different kinds of throws than I think we even expected to see. He's been really good.
He's been really good. This is about as good as you can do it. There's pressure in the face. Throw it to that back pylon. That's your aiming point. And Justin Fields rightly celebrates a beautiful touchdown throw.
Sports is our thing.
You're good? And the app gets it. It likes all sports all the time. We're just 2 best friends that can't get enough sports.
And with the app, we're like a crew.
Count it up, count it up, count it up, count it, count it up, count it up, count it up, count it, count it up, count it up, count it up, count it. Can't take it when you die, but you can't live without it.
Now with ESPN Plus. Get more ESPN and download now.
Bob Wischusen here with Todd Blackledge and Maria Taylor. It's the Georgia Spring Game. And they just announced the official attendance. A shade over 82,100 are here at Sanford Stadium, or certainly we're here at some point. Start to filter out a little bit to watch a team that made it to the national championship game last season and celebrated an SEC title.
You know, you look at around the SEC, I think the quarterback play has been kind of down the last few years. I think this year the quarterback play is going to be better than it's been in a long time. Across the league, there are some really good players. The league returns 7 of their top 8 rated passers, and Jake Fromm was 9th in the nation in terms of quarterback efficiency. But all these guys have been starters, except Tua has not started, but many people expect he will be the starting quarterback for Alabama this year. I just think quarterback play across the league is going to be much better.
From to Harrion on a check down. When was the last time you even forecasted next year's NFL draft and you see SEC quarterbacks towards the top of that group that's draft eligible next year the way the scouts are projecting?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been known as a defensive conference, a running back conference. But I do think the quarterbacks are going to be good. And I think that there were some really good hires as far as some head coaches and offensive coordinators that are going to be quarterback-friendly guys as well. I think that position is going to be much better this year league-wide.
What do you think the most impactful coaching changes or hires in the SEC are going to be from last year to this year?
Well, I'm intrigued by a lot of them. I'm intrigued by, I think Dan Mullen is a really good football coach. He proved that at Mississippi State. What can he do at Florida with a better recruiting base, a chance to recruit more speed, maybe more talent? I know he can coach quarterbacks. He's proven that. Quarterback play at Florida has been abysmal for the last several years. So that one's intriguing to me. Joe Moorhead, really did a great job with Trace McSorley at Penn State for a couple years. Now he goes down there and he inherits Nick Fitzgerald, who is a very talented dual threat guy. Be interesting to see. That offense will change a little bit.
3rd down and 10 after Fromm almost threw an interception for his second of the game, and now does, as he tries the deep in cut and ends up throwing a pick. That is the second pick of the game thrown by Fromm, and William Poole jumped the route and picked it off. Boy, the black squad gets to wear those spike shoulder pads a lot today. They've got 14 points off turnovers, and they've got another takeaway.
ESPN's a melting pot of international talent, and we go out of our way to make everyone feel comfortable.
Hey, Giannis. Opa! Opa!
You guys know that nobody actually does that in English.
Giannis. Opa!
We really like having Aaron around, but we're concerned he takes his name a bit too literally.
Okay. He has to do golf again.
All rise.
We are back at the Georgia spring game. Bob Wischusen and Todd Blackledge and Maria Taylor. And Todd, you mentioned the new SEC head coaches, Dan Mullen, Joe Moorhead, certainly jumping off the page. How about Jimbo Fisher? Probably the household name of these 5, heading from Tallahassee to Texas A&M.
Many people wondered, why would you leave Florida State? All the success you had there, the recruiting. But anybody that's been to College Station and sees what they have facilities-wise, resource-wise, passionate fan base-wise, I think Texas A&M is a sleeping giant. I really do. I think they could be a great, great program again. And I think Jimbo Fisher knew what he was getting into. Chad Morris, that offense at Arkansas will change dramatically from Brett Bielema's run-heavy offense. I think there's a couple offensive coordinators that and quarterback coaches also that are a little more under the radar that are going to be important. Jeremy Pruitt, the head coach at Tennessee, hired Tyson Helton from USC, coming all the way from California, had been very successful there with the Trojan offense, coaching with his brother Clay. And then Dan Enos as a quarterback coach at Alabama. I think Dan's a really good football coach. He was with Brett Bielema at Arkansas, and then when Brett was let go, he was going to Michigan. He was going to be on Jim Harbaugh's staff, and Nick Saban was able to steal him away from there. And I think Dan's a really good quarterback coach and will do a really good job with both of those guys.
Stetson Bennett now in at quarterback for the black team, getting another chance to play. The redshirt freshman on a rollout, flips it to the flat, and that's short of a first down by about a yard to Tyler Simmons. And in the midst of all of that coaching upheaval, what kind of an advantage does that give Georgia, going to a championship game and winning the league last year, that, as you mentioned, their coaching staff is largely unchanged?
Well, it doesn't happen overnight. You know, this is Kirby's third year. They made a big jump from year 1 to year 2. It takes some time to establish the culture you want, to establish the recruiting base that you want. So they've got a little bit of a leg up on some of those new coaches for sure. The problem for Kirby, I think, is their offense this year is going to have to score more. I think they're going to have to rely on scoring more to win because of what they lost on defense. I think they'll still be a good defensive football team, but I think they lost a lot of significant players on that defense. But one of the guys that we didn't even mention that all the coaches talked about when we talked to him was their nose tackle, John Atkins, who started 26 career games, and he was just a space eater in the middle, a two-gap type defender that allowed guys like Roquan Smith to run sideline to sideline to make plays.
Holding. Offense number 10. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat, third down.
Prather Hudson had a first down, but that gets wiped away because the true freshman Kyrus Jackson, wide receiver, is called for holding, and that should take us to the end of the third quarter, down to about 7 seconds. We'll see if the black team gets a snap off before the clock goes to zeros. It does not look like they will. So we'll have a quick timeout and head to the fourth quarter of the Georgia spring game, where the Red is going to need a big comeback if they are going to have any chance at stake.
It's now or never.
It is now or never. That is for sure. As
and lobster,
Smart.
That's
right.
Steak.
That is true. Surf and turf.
I mean,
yes, a guy with my physique doesn't look down his nose at any free meal, much less surf and turf. So there is a lot on the line in these last 15 minutes. Again, it's Bob Wischusen and Todd Blackledge upstairs and Maria Taylor downstairs with the coach.
All right, Coach, we saw 14 points off turnovers in that third quarter. What did you see from your defense?
Well, they forced 2 bad errant throws, and both of them they've capitalized on, which we've been emphasizing turnovers all spring. To be honest with you, we haven't had many turnovers this spring, but they come in bunches, so we're trying to get one on both sides of the ball and get it going, trying to get the red team to get back in this thing.
I know one thing that you pointed to is Richard LeCount. You wanted consistency out of him, and he was one of the guys that walks away with the interception. What does that mean?
It's a big deal for him. Get some confidence. He's a good player. He had discipline on that play. He looked at the right thing. It was kind of a gimmick trick play, and he did a good job picking it up.
All right, we also saw Landers with a great touchdown catch and a great throw by Fields. What did you see on that play?
Great timing play. Justin put good air under it, and I thought the corner was in position, but Matt's a big man. Good matchup. Made a good play.
All right, 1 quarter away from steak and lobster, right?
That's right, steak and lobster. Go dog.
Todd, it is interesting, and Maria kind of brought it up. Obviously, one team winning somewhat lopsided. There's some turnovers. How does a coach look at the spring game? Glass half full, glass half empty. When there's a takeaway, he's got a defensive player making a good play, but that means his offense also turned it over.
Right. Well, and I think, and he told us this when we met with him yesterday, he wants to do whatever he can. If he's going to manipulate in any way, shape, or form, it's going to be to make it a close game. He wants the game to be competitive, to go down to the wire, and right now that means the red team has to come up with some big-time plays.
Christian Carute is now in at quarterback, a true freshman, and it looks like he has a third down conversion for a first down. You know, even thinking back to when you were a player and you played in these games, what's the funniest moment you could think back to your experience at Penn State playing spring football and in the spring game?
Yeah, well, I've got a couple memories. One, as a player playing in the game, I can remember it was supposed to be really vanilla rules, you know, and all of a sudden the offense was having the upper hand, and pretty soon the defense started calling exotic blitzes, and the next thing you know, was looking out through my ear hole a couple times. But one of the best memories I have of a spring game, the very first one I played in, the spring of my freshman year, my grandparents, Warren and Dorothy Sakuchi from Canton, Ohio, they decided to come to the game. And that was a big deal for them, and they wanted to get there early. They didn't want to mess with the crowds and everything. So they were sitting in their seats about 3 hours before the game.
Wow.
It was a typical boring spring game, but they absolutely loved it. And from that time on, they literally drove to every single game I played for the next 3 years.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, they drove to Lincoln, Nebraska. They drove to College Station, Texas. They drove to 2 Fiesta Bowls. It became their whole life for 3 years. They got into almost a subculture of people that travel to watch a college football team. A whole new friend base, but that became such a big part of their life, and it all started with their trip to State College for a spring game.
They did notice the improvement in quality of the event, did they
Absolutely.
not? Absolutely.
Yeah,
it was no longer the spring game?
Yeah, they saw it all culminate in a national championship game against these Georgia Bulldogs.
Exactly.
In the Sugar Bowl. So, yeah, they saw a little bit of everything.
It is Stetson Bennett still in a quarterback. Spring game for the announcers as well as Bennett steps up in the pocket and fires a deep out route intended for Matt Landers. Incomplete. So that will make it 4th down.
I remember when I was playing at Penn State, and I think it was my junior year, and we were playing, or maybe I think it was my junior year, and we were playing Boston College at home, and we were beating them pretty bad. And late in the game, they put a new quarterback in, just like this, number 22.
Oh.
And I was like, what in the heck? Who's this guy wearing 22? He threw 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter, and we still beat him bad. The next year, he threw for 560 yards against our defense on our national championship year. Doug Flutie.
And that Heisman Trophy would eventually find its way to Chestnut Hill with Doug Flutie as Buse misses from long range. Our final break, 21-6, the Black on top of the red here in Georgia.
MLS Soccer Sunday. Seattle Sounders versus Minnesota United FC, followed by Portland Timbers versus New York City FC. It's time for our soccer. Today on ESPN and FS1.
Paul, I switched to Sprint from Verizon because of you.
Why pay twice as much for unlimited for 4 lines for a 1% difference in network reliability?
Yeah, I got this new LG V30 Plus with cinema quality video. So instead of around $40 a month, I got it for just $12 a month. And cut. That's a wrap.
Wrap on what?
Paul! It's Paul from Paul the Movie.
Already seeing a sequel. Gonna be huge. Meet your co-star.
What are you doing here?
We're going Hollywood, baby.
Switch to Sprint and lease the cinematic LG V30 Plus for $12 a month or the LG G6 for $6 a month. Plus, get the best price for unlimited.
Early 4th quarter here at the Georgia Spring game. Bob Wischusen, Todd Blackledge, and Maria Taylor, and the rest of our crew. Jake Fromm has not been able to find the end zone yet. He's thrown a couple of interceptions with the head coach lurking just over his shoulder. Wants to put together a good drive here, and he'll begin it on the ground with Brian Harrion, who runs hard for a 1st down.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really important drive for the red team. I really do. I mean, not just to get back in the game, but I just think that, this is your first team offense. And for most of the spring, the offense has had the upper hand because of injuries on the D-line, injuries in the secondary. But in this particular scrimmage situation, the first team defense has outplayed the offense.
That catch made by Elijah Holyfield. One thing we haven't touched on, talking about all that Georgia lost, they bring back 4 of 5 starters on the offensive line in front of Jake Fromm or Justin Fields, kind of anchored by the center. Lamont Gilliard, number 53, who has started 28 consecutive games through the championship game last year, is Fromm. Looks for the deep ball from Mecole Hardman. Just off the mark. But it should be a pretty good wall up front when SEC play begins.
Well, their starting line should be good. And you know what? They've got depth. They've got 9 or 10 guys that can play. They recruited a couple high-level guys. That's beautiful protection right there. You mentioned Gilliard. The other key guy is Andrew Thomas, who was the starting right tackle as a freshman last year. They flipped him over to left to take the place of Isaiah Wynn, who will be a high draft choice next week also. The real competition, Thomas proved himself last year. The competition will be for the right tackle spot.
Fromm is going to go down. That'll be a sack and a loss of a couple.
Right now they're hoping that Isaiah Wilson might be that guy that can step up. He is an impressive looking physical specimen. 6'7", 345 pounds. You don't see many guys like that come out of Brooklyn, New York.
He played football, and he played wildcat quarterback in high school. Imagine that coming at you. as like a junior 205-pound linebacker playing high school football. Here comes big number 79 carrying the ball. Marshall Long with a wobbly punt. And fielded on a dive by Kyrus Jackson. Well, we look forward at the regular season schedule for the Dogs. And boy, it doesn't take them long to have a season-defining game, and that is on the road in Columbia in week 2.
South Carolina is a good football team. They're going to be a solid team this year. Will Muschamp's doing a nice job. But look at that. In the first month, in the month of September, they've got 3 big league games. That game at Missouri on the 22nd will be a tricky, testy game because Drew Lock is an outstanding quarterback, maybe the most talented quarterback in the league coming back. And you look down there at October 13th, the trip to LSU, that's who their SEC West opponent is now. It was Mississippi State. They've rotated off, and it's LSU. They have not played in Baton Rouge since 2008.
Fields thought he avoided a sack. Welcome to the spring game, son. Two-hand touch, you're down. And that will be a loss all the way back to about the 13-yard line. But having said that, they do go a little light on the non-conference this year. They've got their traditional game at the end of the season, the rivalry game with Georgia Tech. But UMass, Middle Tennessee, Austin Peay, not those big made-for-TV committee impressing out-of-conference games. Could that hurt them?
It could, but I don't think that it will. Okay. I don't think it's that big of a deal for them.
Ian Donald McIntyre on a dive forward for 4. So now that red defense wants to get a stop to get the offense the ball back with as much time on the clock as possible. It'll be 3rd down and 14. Again, it's running time until we get to the last 4 minutes.
Well, and again, this is a big stop for the red defense, your first-team defense. Force a punt from this part of the field, get the ball back to Jake Fromm and your offense with good field position, see if you can put some points on the board.
And Fields tries to fit one into a tight window up the sideline. Intended for Tyler Simmons, incomplete. Eric Stokes was there with Trey Bishop to sandwich on the coverage.
Eric Stokes has great speed. He's gained some weight in the last year. You could see him stride for stride with the receiver. Got that hand in on the football to knock it away. He's a young guy they're thinking can really help him at corner because of that speed.
Willie Erdman is back deep to receive the punt from Michael Diangola. Wobbly kick, and it'll be good field position for the red offense, as Erdman will be marked down just across the 45-yard line. We'll join the Johns, Anderson and Butchie tonight at SportsCenter after Thunder Jazz on ESPN. Tim Legler will join them. He'll have post-game reaction from Utah, plus an in-depth look at Game 4 of the physical series between the Sixers and Heat. Barry Melrose in studio. He'll have analysis of 3 Game 5s in the NHL. Bruins on the brink. SportsCenter, 12:30 a.m. Eastern, 9:30 Pacific on ESPN and the ESPN app. So Fromm will go hurry up, and he'll want it all. The deep ball on first down, broken up inside the 5-yard line. Again, terrific coverage from Richard LeCounte as he was able to close the distance before Riley Ridley could haul it in.
That's what a free safety's supposed to do. You know, the corner can only do so much on that post route. He's got to count on that help coming from the inside, and that's what he got. Pretty well thrown ball by Jake Fromm, but the safety LeCounte tracked it and got over to help his corner and knock that ball away.
DeAndre Baker was there as well. Here is Fromm with the blitz coming. Has to throw it away. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
I got to believe that was a mix-up up front with this first-team offensive line. That inside linebacker, McBride, should not have been free that way. They're not using exotic blitzes. They are bringing some pressure. But somewhere in there, that was a missed assignment, either with the back or the lineman. because this was only a 5-man rush. They have plenty of guys to pick them up. Jake Fromm had to throw that football away.
Four-man rush on 3rd and 10. Fromm sidearms one. Elijah Holyfield makes the catch, but barely picks up 2, maybe 3 yards, so it's 4th and long.
And they got to go for it.
And they're trying to get set as quickly as possible with 4:45 to go. Slant. And breaking a tackle as Riley Ridley's got the first down. That is a 4th down conversion for the red team.
Tyreek McGee was trying to make a play on the football and missed the tackle. Ridley showed nice concentration, hauling that in and getting the first down and a new set of downs.
Gain of 15. Here's Fromm on 1st down. Looking for Ridley down the sideline. Back shoulder, incomplete.
You know, obviously at this point in the game, we're seeing mostly all passing. But I do think that this year Georgia's offense is going to have to, they're going to have to shift gears a little bit and rely more on their passing game. Not only because they're obviously losing Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. This was an offense last year that 68% of their offensive downs they ran the football. That was the 6th most or highest in all of college football, but they were the only team that didn't run the triple option that had that kind of percentage. So that's a very high percentage of run plays that they were able to go with last year. I think it'll be closer to a 55-45 kind of split this year. Much more reliance on their pass game than they had to a year ago.
Fromm to Werner. 2 yards shy. 2nd down and 2 after a penalty on 1st down. Fromm locks in on the slant and misses. It'll be 3rd down and 2.
Had a couple backup wide receivers in on that 2nd down play, trying to give their first line guys a little bit of a break. Now you see Ridley and Hardman, Stanley back in the ball game on this 3rd down play.
Black team rushes 5. Fromm well protected. That ball batted down at the line. It'll be 4th down and 2. So another chance for the black defense to get a stop as Julian Rochester was able to leap and knock it down at the line.
It was a nice play by Rochester. He knew he wasn't going to get to the quarterback. He was kind of locked up, but he kept his eyes on the quarterback and timed his jump, got his hands up to knock that football down for an incompletion.
Fromm recognizes the blitz coming, changes the play at the line, and it's still tipped on a leap. The blitzer from the outside was J.R. Reed, and he knocked one down at the line, and the black defense gets a turnover on downs with 3:27 to go.
Well, even though you lose 7 starters from your defense, even though you've battled injuries all spring with your defensive line and your defensive secondary, in the spring game in front of several thousand Dog fans, your first team defense came to play today and comes up with another big stop.
It's still Justin Fields in at quarterback to try and manage the clock and close this one out for the black team in the Georgia spring game. We're about a minute or so away from saying goodbye here in Athens. If you'd like to watch the rest of our coverage of the Georgia spring game, as SportsCenter is only moments away, you can watch us wrap things up over on ESPN 3. 3 minutes to go. Fields to the sideline. That's a drop. Right into the hands of Jeremiah Holloman. Couldn't hold on.
Under normal circumstances, you'd be saying just eat the clock and let's get out of here. But with a freshman quarterback, you got another opportunity for some situational football. Let him do another 4-minute drive here.
And before we say goodbye, here's a 3rd down and 4. 4-man rush. perfect throw to the sideline on time again for Justin Fields. Boy, he has looked very solid in front of a big crowd here at the Georgia Spring game, which will continue on ESPN3. But coming up now, we'll turn things over to SportsCenter. Log on to ESPN3 to see our Georgia Spring game. So long from Athens. And for those of you watching on ESPN3, we continue our coverage with Fields a little behind Akil Crumpton. Although, Todd, I have to tell you, just watching him naked eye for the first time today, there are quarterbacks where you can see the ball just looks a little bit different coming off their hand.
No doubt.
And when Justin Fields decides he's going to lean into one and really let it rip, the ball jumps off his head.
It sure does. I saw that in practice last week when I was here. I was impressed right away and how effortlessly he throws the deep ball as well.
If you were watching the Georgia Spring game and watching him operate just from the pocket alone, you wouldn't necessarily think he was a highly rated dual threat quarterback, because he looks like a player that even if he is contained with the velocity that he can throw it with, and we've seen some touch throws as well today, why couldn't he win games from the pocket?
Well, I think he can. I think he's big enough. I think he sees it well enough. And I think, you know, he can make, as you want to hear NFL people talk, can he make all the throws? Yeah, he can make all the throws.
That's a false start on the left tackle. That's Pat Allen, who flinched.
False start. Offense, number 58, 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
Without that reliance on Chubb and Michelle, maybe having to tilt their play calling a little bit more towards evening things up, run to pass. In an ideal world, what is the quarterback style that you would want to feed into that? A quarterback that could be a part of the run game like Fields, or a play action pocket presence like Fromm? Well, which guy fits that schematically better?
Well, I think that in today's world of college football, and I've said this for a long time, I think that you need one of two things at the quarterback position. You either better have a guy who is capable of playing on Sundays and can throw it that way. Doesn't mean he's got to be a starter, but can play at that level. Or a guy who's a dual threat, who is a threat in the running game. Obviously, Fields is more of a threat in the running game than Jake Fromm is. Fromm can run it and ran it with some success last year. But I also think we got to keep in mind what we're not seeing today in terms of the Georgia ability to run the football. We're not seeing DeAndre Swift. We're not seeing Zamir White, who's the 5-star recruit. We're not seeing James Cook, Dalvin Cook's little brother, who's coming in the summer. So the running back position and their ability to run traditionally is going to be a whole lot better in September than it is right now. So I think my answer then is I think either quarterback works.
Got it.
With what they've got coming in.
And the last thing you want to see is one of potentially your starters get hurt in the spring game. Monty Rice was shaken up as he pulls up a little bit lame trying to track down Justin Fields. That looks like a left hamstring for Monty Rice.
Monty Rice is one of those 4 guys that's trying to battle for that inside spot. Natrez Patrick, Tay Crowder, Monty Rice, Juwan Taylor.
Timeout called by the black squad.
Another sack by Keon Brown.
Keon Brown's been an active pass rusher today.
He's a very good edge rusher. You know, he's a little undersized, so he may not hold up in the run defense portion of it. But in situational football, you bring him in a pass situation, he's a matchup problem for some left tackles.
Fields well adjusted to in midair by Jackson Harris, 3rd string tight end, reached back and made an acrobatic catch for a short gain of 4. In spite of the score and in spite of the fact that the black team is comfortably in front, an opportunity for Kirby Smart to watch his freshman run the 2-minute drill, and now his freshman throws a pick. Fields tried to fit one in outside, and he's picked off by K.J. Smith,
It's a long throw. You know, as strong as his arm is, when you throw from the left hash to the right sideline on a short route, that gives a defender a lot of time to break on the football. Wasn't a horrible throw. It just was in the air too long. And a nice interception that time by K.J. Smith.
So now with 1:49 on the clock and good field position at the 43-yard line. One more chance for Jake Fromm to try and score a touchdown before the spring game ends. And he's going to take a shot again for Riley Ridley. And this time, he drops it in for the touchdown. 57 yards.
He's been close on a couple today. He's put a couple out there that could have been caught. Ridley, remember, had the one in the end zone that got ripped out at the last minute. That time he's able to secure the catch and come up with a big touchdown. Tyreek McGee, who was the guy that pulled the football out and prevented the touchdown earlier in the game, is the guy that got beat on that play.
Blankenship makes it an 8-point game. Now here's a question we didn't ask as we take a look back at the touchdown.
Well, first of all, look at the protection, particularly on that right side. They're auditioning for the right tackle. Isaiah Wilson with nice job protecting, and a well-thrown ball from Jake Fromm. There's Wilson, got a little chip help from his running back on the way out. Jake Fromm able to get his team into the end zone.
And if the red team gets the ball back, they're only down now technically by one possession.
Yeah.
Does everybody get steak if it's 21-21? Or do they keep playing?
I don't think they'll keep playing.
I don't think they'll keep playing either. We didn't ask about overtime potentially in the spring game.
I don't think they'll keep playing.
You wonder if the beanie weenies go away and if everybody gets a chance at surf and turf. There's Blankenship to kick it.
Something tells me that Kirby would be okay with that if that happened.
I think you're right.
If they had to go get more steak and lobster.
And this will go through the back of the end zone once again. .142 to go and 2 timeouts for the red team.
You know, situational football is so important in today's world. I mean, in terms of winning close ball games, you got to be able to win some situations. So it's a great opportunity. Can the red team get a stop? They'll burn the timeouts on defense. And then can Jake Fromm make another drive?
And this isn't the NFL. There's no preseason football. Yeah. This is the only chance at a game situation.
Yeah, that's right.
That you actually have in a game that quote unquote doesn't count, to let your kids go out there, manage the clock, and actually play through situations like this. Fields avoids a sack and throws it away, which actually saves a timeout for the red team.
Right. Now, again, you wonder what the philosophy is of why they're throwing in this situation, if they're trying to win the game. Obviously, they're trying to let their quarterback work and work in their passing offense. Because logic would say, we're not throwing anymore at this point. We're going to make the defense burn their timeouts. We're going to run the football and use as much clock as we can. But this actually gives the red team a real opportunity.
Fields will throw it again. Out of bounds with a gain is Akil Crumpton, at least 5 yards shy of the first down. So now it will be 3rd down and 5 with a little over a minute and a half to go.
Well, 3rd down and 5, a little over a minute and a half to go, and the red team has not had to use a timeout. So if they get a stop here, Jake Fromm will have more than a minute and 2 timeouts to work with. I think this is Kirby manipulating, giving his red team a chance.
Right. He said he wanted it to be close at the end, and now they'll blow the whistle
and now
and
they'll
call
use
it a sack. And that will be 1 timeout left for the red team with 1:25 to go and a chance to get the ball back. Jackson Harris, the tight end, getting a bit of an earful from Kirby Smart.
Pretty amazing the turnout we had for this game today, isn't it? It's just spectacular. April 21st, beautiful day, and it's incredible crowd that is on. Much of them are on to bigger and better things now this evening.
That punt in traffic, was it touched by the red team? I think they're going to say that all punts just change possession, but how about that? 82,184 was the total through the gates today to watch their Dogs for the first time since they were on the field, losing a heartbreaker to Alabama in the national championship game.
And no doubt many of those eyeballs wanting to see Justin Fields for the first time as well.
And saw what they probably wanted to see.
Yep.
There were times today where Fields looked every bit the best recruit in America. And that'll be a fascinating quarterback saga to follow all the way through summer camp and heading towards the fall. Here's Fromm with one more chance. Flushed out of the pocket. Dropped. Jason Stanley couldn't hold on. Well, Todd, the final analysis, we watched this last possession. If you were telling a Dogs fan, here's what I would feel great about coming towards this season. Now that I've watched the spring game and some practices this past week, what would you maybe be concerned about? Where is the glass half full and the glass half empty for Georgia?
Well, I think the biggest area of concern that I would have is just their defensive line depth and just having enough guys to roll guys in and keep guys fresh. You know, really, when it was all said and done, as well as they played in the national championship game, for most of the game, they got worn down in the fourth quarter. And they weren't able to stop Alabama in the fourth quarter.
And they lost some guys from last year, even among that group.
They lost some guys. They've lost some guys in the spring here that they'll get back. So I think making sure they have that depth built up defensively at the line, in the line, is the biggest area of concern. I think they'll be great at running back once those guys are healthy. I think they're very strong at quarterback. I think they'll be fine at wide receiver.
Nicole Hardman took a shot from J.R. Reed, and a flag was thrown from the near sideline with 55 seconds to go.
I think leadership, too, is the other area that needs to develop, is the leadership.
And Kirby Smart may have been the one to say pick that flag up if they do.
There's no foul on the play for targeting. First down.
I think Kirby Smart went in and said, boys, that was a good hit.
That was a clean hit in my book.
Still a first down catch as the clock rolls with 52 seconds to go. Fromm, another check down, incomplete. 48 seconds remaining, intended for Charlie Werner.
And you know what? They just showed it on the big Jumbotron. It was a clean hit. It was a really well played hit by J.R. Reed. Hit him with the right shoulder, got the helmet out of the way, hit him below the neck.
Stunt comes up the middle, and that flushes Fromm to the sideline. Trying to come back to help his quarterback was Jason Stanley, but again the ball goes through Stanley's hands with 39 seconds to go.
This black defense playing a lot of soft coverage right now. They're going to let Jake Fromm throw the ball underneath, try to get a tackle in play. They just don't want to get beat over the top. They don't want to give up an easy play. 39 seconds now. The scoreboard still says that the red team has 2 timeouts. Oh, Kirby may have given them one back also. I thought they only had one.
They did only have one. Yeah. I think you're right. That's just the coach inventing a scenario at the end that he wants to see. He told us he wanted this to be close at the end and wanted there to be a little bit of pressure, and he got what he wished for. Fromm again to Holyfield, and Holyfield was looking upfield before he had the football.
Well, now you got 4th and 10. Seen that a few times today. A couple different receivers, that time a back out of the backfield. Guys just in a hurry to start running with the football before they make the catch. The eyes leave the football and turn upfield, and Ball ends up on the ground.
Fourth down. So one last gasp potentially for the Red Squad. As Fromm to the sideline, it's another drop for Holyfield. And he wouldn't have been anywhere near the first down regardless. So normal football, unless the coach wants to manipulate the situation again, this would be take a knee time for the black team and celebrate your spring game win.
I didn't understand that play right there. You see Jim Chaney and Jake Fromm talking about it on the sideline right now, but Jake Fromm's got to know better than that. That play had no chance even if he makes the catch. You got to go ahead, especially if you got a timeout or two in your pocket. You got to work the middle of the field, get whatever you can get to get the first down.
They still have Justin Fields lined up in the shotgun here with 30 seconds to go. And I guess reps are reps for a freshman quarterback, so why not let him play? He sidearms one to the sideline, caught by Prather Hudson. That will roll the clock down. Let's see if there is even another snap for the black team, or if they will start thinking about their steak dinner. Surf and turf is on the way. And the clock goes to all zeros, and that will end the spring game here at Sanford Stadium. Well, the #1 defense played for the black team today, and they got a couple of takeaways that turned into 14 points. And as a result, the SEC champions losing a lot top on defense, but their #1 defense played pretty well today.
They really did, and Kirby told us the offense had kind of had the upper hand for most of the spring, but today that first team defense did its job.
21-13 the final here at the Georgia spring game. The black over the red. For Todd Blackledge, Maria Taylor, I'm Bob Wischusen. So long from Athens.